Shalom, my dear friends. Shalom. Today, the 9th day of the month of Kislev, the year 5778, corresponding to the 27th of November. Again, to all of our friends and participants in North America, I hope it has been a good and a sustaining and an inspirational Thanksgiving, enumerating the very many blessings that we have to be thankful over. And here indeed we have, thank God, the blessings of the Holy Torah. And let us therefore come today to the continuation of our studies without further ado, turning now to the study of the letter Samech of the Aleph Bet. Shalom, today, the 9th of Kislev of the year 5778, corresponding to the 27th of November of the year 2017, and we come today to our study of the letter Samech in the laws of the writing of the letters of the Sefer Torah, Mezuzah, and Tefillin, learning from the Sefer Mishnat Sofrim of Rabbi Israel Kagan, the Chafetz Chaim, and today we come to the letter Samach, which is not to be confused with the letter End Mem, which it is very similar to in its appearance. The letter Samach has a distinctively curved right-hand side, and in fact it has to have curves on all of the top right, the bottom right, and the bottom left corner, and only the upper head of the samach is to be squared, as opposed to the mem stuma, the closed up mem, the mem as it is written at the end of the word. And nevertheless, the two letters are related to, they are both considered to be combinations of the letter Chof and the letter Vav. The letter Chof is distinctively curved on its right-hand top and right-hand bottom, and if the two are put together, so we have in various configurations either the tet or the mem petucha, the open mem, or as in our case today, the study of the letter Samach. And Mishnat Sofrim of the letter Samach tells us that the roof of the Samach should be straight, and it should be approximately 3 kulamusim, 3 thicknesses of the nib of the pen of the sofer in its length. The base of the samach should be shorter in order that the left-hand top of the samach should extend out further beyond the left-hand leg of the samach. And indeed, as mentioned, the form of the samach is essentially a chof, and it must retain the distinctively rounded shape of the chof. And a samach has been placed adjacent to the left-hand ends of the vav, has been placed adjacent to the left-hand ends of the chof to form the shape of the samach. Well, now in height, the samach should be 3 kulamusim, that is to say, the roof of the samach should be 1 thickness of the nib of the kulamus, the pen of the scribe, in its breadth, and likewise the base should be the thickness of the kulamus, and the space in between the roof and the base should be, as it's illustrated, we see that the space between the roof and the base is somewhat more than a nib breadth. However, the ideal is to have the samach 3 kulamusim high, 3 kulamusim in its breadth, and made up of the kulamus, the nib breadth of the roof, the nib breadth of the base, and the nib breadth of the space in between. So as mentioned, the left-hand head must be squared and all of the other corners must be rounded, and the purpose is to make sure that the samach is quite distinct from the very similar looking mem as it's written at the end of the word, which has a distinctively squared edges, particularly on the right-hand base. So the samach must be closed completely, and the roof must jut out to the left of the letter to the breadth of a vav, since that is what the letter, as we've mentioned, is essentially made up of, a chof and a vav. Any splits in any part of the samach would render the samach invalid, and the continuity of the line of the samach is very much bound up with the Kabbalistic significance of the letter samach, which has the numerical value of 60, and 60 would represent the totality of the main 6 sfirot of creation, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, each of which is considered to have its own 10 constituent sfirot, and the totality of all of these makes up the letter Samach, and the roundness of the Samach is to emphasize the complete unity and continuity of all of these different constituents, and all of them come to bring down the light of the letter Vav, which is the panim, the left-hand face of the letter in which it's pointing. The letter Vav numerically is 6, and thus Samach has the value of 60, Vav has value of 6, and we see here the revelation of the continuity of what is known as the Shesh Ketzavot, the 6 directions, which is the expression used for those 6 sfirot, which are alluded to in the letter Samach. So with that, my friends, we shall now we've now completed our study of the letters for today, and we'll take a very brief interval, and I will be back presently with our study of Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, looking today at the main part of chapter 7, back in just a couple of minutes. Shalom now, back again to our studies, coming to Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, chapter 7. Shalom, today, the 9th day of the month of Kislev of the year 5778, corresponding to the 27th of November of the year 2017. We continue now with our studies of Shir HaShirim in chapter 7 of this holy Sefer, towards the latter part of the parasha that had begun with the words Elginas Egois Yoradati. I went down to the garden of the nuts, and we've had the whole section of the appeal to the Shulamit to return, and we've seen the different aspects of the meaning of that phrase, as the parasha begins at chapter 6, verse 11, Elginas Egos Yoradati, I went down to the garden of the nuts, and it's all continuing one parasha which we interrupted our study of at the verse that begins in chapter 7, verse 9, Omarti ele besomar, I said that I would go up on the tamar, the tree of the palm to which the beloved was compared. Let us go one verse further back to the that is on verse 8 of chapter 7. That comes at the conclusion of the many phrases, the many praises of the beloved, whether we interpret it as being coming from the words of the lover, or be it from the mouths of the nations, but the summation of those praises came in verse 7. How beautiful and how pleasant is this are you, this love of delights, followed by the comparison of her form. Zois koimosich domosolosomo, this, your stature, is similar to the tamar tree, the gloriously tall palm tree. Your breasts are compared to the clusters of the fruits. And we continue in verse 9. Omarti ele besomor, I said, I shall go up into this palm tree. Oichazo besanesinov, I shall take hold of its branches. V'yahiu no shodaich ki ashkelois hagefen, and let please your breasts be like the clusters of the vine. V'reach apeich katapuchim, let the fragrance of your face be like that of apples. V'chikech keyen hatov, your palate, the source of the words of your mouth, let them be like the good wine. Holech ledoidi lemeisharem, that is going to my beloved directly. This wine, doivev sifsei yishenim, this wine that moves, causes to move the lips even of those who are asleep. This depiction of the ecstatic delight of this this sumptuous a wine that is even causing those in their absolute satisfaction who have drunk from it to move their lips in their sleep. And finally, the rapturous consummation of this whole section, where the beloved says to her beloved, Ani ledoidi, I belong to my beloved. Ve'olai teshukosoi, upon me is his desire. That is to say, here she sums up that she is indeed unique because of the many praises that have been put upon her, as we have seen, which are praising her many attributes, the traits of Knesset Israel, the Assembly of Israel. She is indeed quite unique, and there's a unique relationship between the two. I belong to him, and upon me is his desire. We understand that it is her here speaking to him because the teshukato, the suffix of the vav at the end, indicates that the teshukah, the desire, is his chukah alai, for me, that is she, the beloved, who is speaking. Ani ledodi, the beloved, is unique to her lover, and upon me is his desire. We see that there is a break in the parshiot here in the written text of Shir HaShirim, even though in our printed Bibles the text runs straight on into straight on in chapter 7, going on from verse 12, and there's no break in the Hebrew portions, the Hebrew parshiot, until the end of chapter 8, verse 4. But in order to now take a look at the Meforshim, the commentators on the verses that we've just read, let us now turn to the Perush, the commentary of the Metzudat David on these verses, going now to from chapter 7, verse 8, in the commentary of the Metzudat David, where he comments, Zois komosech, this is your stature, this shall be the appearance of your stature, as it is likened, the likeness of your statue is likened to the tree of the palm, which is erect without any crookedness. And here the nimshal is that the entire nation is entirely yishara, entirely one of justice. This is the ideal future rectified state of the nation. V'shodayich, your breasts, these are the source of the love, the delight you give. These shall be hanging downwards like the clusters of the fruit on the tree. The nimshal here, as we already saw, refers to the king and the high priest who give nurture to you to send all blessing to you, and they will send abundant blessing like the clusters of the vine which provide abundant wine. And then verse 9 of chapter 7, Omarti e'ele b'tamar, I said I shall go up into the Tamar. And let us note in passing the exquisite subtlety of what is the imagery of yichud, of unification implicit in these words in the text, his ascent to the tree, to connect with the tree, to take hold of the branches, and to delight in these clusters of fruit. The imagery here is the imagery of the holy erotic Kabbalah. It's forbidden even perhaps to use the word erotic, but clearly there are erotic overtones in the mashal, which in the nimshal are referring to the unification between the lover and the beloved. As the Metzudat David puts it, this I will go up into the palm tree, that is saying that I shall sit with the beloved companion who has been compared to the tree of the palm, and I shall take hold of the branches of the tree, that is to say, I shall not separate from her anymore. And the nimshal here is coming to say that the Almighty, blessed be He, will cause to dwell His indwelling presence, the Shekhinah, in Knesset Israel, in the beloved, and shall no longer be separated from her. So here we are looking to the future, to the future redemption, it says, Omarti, I have said, and that is to say, this has been the decree forever. Ale batamar, I shall ascend the Tamar, I shall go up, I shall take hold of the branches. This is all reassurance to the beloved that the restoration shall come. V'hiuno shodayich, and then your breasts. Very interesting in this verse that the Hebrew has the word no, which has the connotation of please. It's a request. And Rashi on this verse tells us that this is an appeal to her to verify what he says, to verify what he is what he's saying to her. I would like you to justify my words. Ha'amiti et devarai. You show that these words that I have said are worthy. That is to say, that you should not be persuaded and seduced to go after the nations of the world, but that the good ones among you and the sages among you should stand in their faith and be able to give a just answer to all who try to persuade you to leave me, and their example will be a teaching to the people of smaller stature in the nations. So continuing now with the so Rashi there has brought out the overtones of this word no, please. The lover is asking the beloved to show that she is worthy of all of those praises. Going back now to the Mitzudat David, Ve'ihu no shodayich, let your breasts be like the clusters of the vine. That is wanting to say now in a very soon to come time, I shall be delighting in your breasts, which will be like these clusters hanging down below. The nimshal here is that very soon indeed the king and the high priest will be sending down this blessing like the clusters of wine, and the reach apecho, the fragrance of your face, will be like the fragrance of the apples. The nimshal here is, says the Mitzudat David, that I shall then accept your sacrifices that shall ascend for a fragrant savor before the Lord. So here again we are looking at the future redemption. Underneath these verses in Rashi, and particularly in the Targum, is that the delights which are caused to the lover by the beloved are actually the delights that were caused by the great heroes and martyrs of the people. For example, Daniel and Hananiah, Mishael and Azariah, who were willing to sacrifice their lives to sanctify God's name, and these indeed were and are considered to be the delightful fruits in which the Holy One, blessed be He, takes such pleasure. Continuing then with verse 10, V'chikech kayen hatov, your palate, the chech, the palate of the mouth from which the words come forth, is like the good wine. Says the Mitzudat David, your words bring joy to my heart, like good wine that goes as a gift of love from one beloved to another, from one friend to another. The wine is passed around as a gift of friendship in order to straighten and to smooth out and to deepen the love between them, so that it shall never again be shaken. And this wine, says the verse, Dovev Sifsei Yishenim, it causes the lips of those that are asleep to move in their sleep, muttering and talking in their sleep. This comes to say that this is like the wine that has such a strength that it even causes the lips of those that are asleep to begin talking. And this is a haflaga. This is a very extreme way of putting it, a very far out metaphor, because it's a rhetorical flourish. The way of wine, when it's strong, is to cause the lips of those who drink it to become very garrulous, to speak out a lot of words, even if the person would normally, when not in the state of inebriation, be inclined to be somewhat limiting in the number of words the person says. And what this is coming to say is, like those wines that bring such joy to the heart, so your words, the lover addressing the beloved, Knesset Yisrael, your words of Torah and your prayer, these are what bring joy to the heart, as it were, of the Almighty. The Nimshal comes to say, now your prayers and your engagement in the study of the Torah in this time of redemption will be accepted with favor before me. Holech ledoidi lemeishorim. The words will be going to my beloved directly. Now, very beautiful comment by our rabbis on the phrase at the end of verse 10 of chapter 7, Dovev Sifsei Yishenim, moving the lips of the sleepers, that the arousal caused by the prayers and service of Torah of Israel now causes even the promises uttered to the Avot, the sleeping fathers, in their place of burial in the cave of Machpelah in Hebron. Even there, the effect of the good deeds and the Torah and the prayers of Israel causes the arousal of all of the promises that were made to the Avot. So coming now to verse 11, Ani ledoidi v'olai tshukosoi, I am my beloved's, and upon me is his desire. According to Metzudat David, all the previous verses were coming from the mouth, as it were, of the lover, the Almighty, singing the praises of his beloved. In response to this, Ani ledoidi, when it was heard by the beloved, this promise and these future goals, this future destiny that has been recounted here of the time of restoration, that's when she said, well, I always knew that I was unique in the relationship with my lover, and that all of his desire is for me and not for any other. And here the Nimshal is to say that now Knesset Yisrael, foreseeing this restoration, she says, well, I always knew that I am indeed his people, and I know that he will never despise me and seek to replace or exchange me with any other people. Here we have her understanding that replacement theology is not part of it. No replacement of Knesset Yisrael by any other nation or people or grouping. So indeed, at this point in Shir HaShirim, she now addresses him and says, let us go out indeed to the field and to the villages, and let's see how all the fruits are developing. Then to return now to our text of Shir HaShirim, to the new parasha, which begins in chapter 7, verse 12. L'chodoidi neitze hasode nolinu bakforim. She says to him, L'cho, go forth, my beloved. Neitze hasod, let us go out to the field. Nolino bakforim, let us spend the night, bed down for the night in the villages. That way we'll be out there so that we can get up early. Nashkimo lakromim, let us get up early to the orchards or the vineyards. Nir'eh im purchel hagefen, we shall go to see if the vine has flowered forth. Pitach hasmoda, if there is opened up the smadar. The explanation of the word smadar is that from the flower of the vine develop the little clusters of what are going to be the grapes, and as the outer parts of the flower fall off, there remains the smadar, which are the little incipient grapes. This is the next stage in the development of the grapes as they come towards their maturity. And the next element in what she wants to invite him to see is henetzu or rimonim. If the rimonim, the pomegranates, henetzu, if they have formed their nets, also their flower with the pomegranate, the flower of the pomegranate has forming at its base where it's attached to the twig of the tree, the incipient fruit, and the flower actually shrivels and partly falls off as the rimon develops, and this nets refers to that flowering of the rimon, which shows that the fruit is on its way to development. Again, the most beautiful evocations of the pastoral beauty of the holy land, Eretz Israel, holy land of Israel, where again and again in this Shir Hashirim we see the references to the fruits of Israel, here the vine and the pomegranate. Earlier we had the tamar, the palm, the date palm. We had the pile of wheat surrounded by the shoshanim, the lilies. Again and again, these references to the beauties of the land. And in those vineyards and orchards, Sham etenes doidailoch, there shall I give my loving delights to you. Hadudoim nosnu reach, the dudoim flowers mentioned in our present week's parasha, or previous week's parasha of Vayetze, that Reuven, the oldest son of Leah, went out to the field and he brought in these dudaim, translated as the mandrake flowers, where the form of the flower is one that consists of two people facing together, indicating love, and the dudaim mandrake plant was considered to be a plant that awakens potency. The dudaim nosnu reach, these mandrakes have given forth their fragrant odor. V'al pesochenu kol megodim, by our very entrances here directly at hand are all of these precious dainties and delights. Chadoshim gam yishanim, there are new fresh ones together with the old ones. Doidi tzofanti lach, all of these precious dainties, my beloved, have I treasured up for you. Well, now, with the end of the printed Bible chapter, at the end of chapter 7, verse 14, and the beginning of the printed Bible, chapter 8, as we see, there is no break in the parasha, which goes on for several more verses until She says, don't stir up the love until it will burst forth. And there is a shift in the sense here at this point when she goes into this very beautiful evocation of the intimacy she now will seek from her lover, that she wants him to be as dear, as close, as familiar with her, ke'achli, who will give you to be like a brother for me. Yonek shedei imi, a dear brother that is suckling from the breast of my mother, just like me. That will be the intimacy between the beloved and her lover. I will find you outside, and I shall give you to drink, and they shall not despise me. And Aviacho el beis imi tlamdeni, I shall lead you, I shall bring you to the house of my mother, that you should teach me. All of these expressions of the exquisite closeness which she is looking for with her lover in the time of the restoration. Ashkecho miyain horekach, I shall give you to drink from the wine of the blend with its perfumes, me'asis rimoini, from the juice of my pomegranate, and now depicting the absolute bliss of yichud, of her closeness to him in loving embrace. Smolo tachas roshi, his left arm is under my head. V'yamino techabkeni, his right arm embraces me. And at this depiction of their coming union, she can't stand it anymore, and she has to turn to the daughters of Jerusalem and say, well, it will come, we can't try to hasten it. Hishbati eschem bonos Yerushalayim, I have caused you to take an oath, daughters of Jerusalem. Ma to'iru u'ma to'iru eswavo achetech pots. Why should you arouse, why should you stir up the love until it will jump forth, it shall desire to burst forth? Well, we shall be discussing the meaning of this third one of her adjurations of the daughters of Jerusalem, and how it has been taken by our sages. But for the moment, as we go back over the last section, in the light of the explanations of the commentator Metzudat David, let us now go verse by verse back to chapter 7, verse 12. She had said, L'cho doidi, go, my beloved. She wants to have him go out with her. Tishlach amora, she sends her words to appeal to before her lover, to say to him, let us go away from the city out to the field, and let us spend the night in one of the villages where the orchards are close by to them. And the Nimshal here is as if Knesset Yisrael said to the Almighty, blessed be He, please come out to the little towns out in the fields around the great city. Let us come to the villages to examine, take a look at the deeds of their inhabitants. Because out there they are not yet sufficiently straightened up, they're not become yet sufficiently rectified, they're not yet sufficiently wise like the people in the great cities, the very large towns from whom they can learn, because their sages in the great cities are far superior, far above, and we do not find such great people out there in the small towns and the villages out there in the countryside. Well, our sages have interpreted this appeal of hers to him to come and look at what's going on out there in the vineyards, especially in the coming section of her desire to bring to him and his attention the greatness and the righteousness of all those souls. Nashkimu lakaromim, let us go out early to the orchards. Because the orchards are close by, we'll be able to get up and come to them very early, to these orchards, even before the sun will shine in all the strength of its heat in the later part of the day. That's why, according to the pshat, the simple meaning, we'd like to go out early, and there we shall see how the fruits are doing, how the flowers are developing. There she says, there we shall delight at looking to see if already the vine has flowered and if the smadar, the incipient grapes, are forming on the vine. And there, she says, there in the orchard shall I show you the love I have for you. Because there our hearts will be expanded through the delight of seeing the flowers of the vine. The Nimshal is as if Knesset Yisrael is saying, come out to the Batei Knesiot, the synagogues. These are the true orchards, the true place for the flowering of the souls of Israel, the garden of the souls, the halls of prayer, umidrashos, the halls of the midrash, the study of the Torah. And there, take a look. She's saying to her lover, take a look at the students and the sages to see if they've already flowered forth in the wisdom of the Torah, if they've flowered forth with their good deeds. And there you shall see my great praise, the great praise that is due to Knesset Yisrael for bearing forth all of these precious fruits, and my love for you, the love of Knesset Yisrael for you, my lover. And continuing now with chapter 7, verse 14, Hadudoim nosnu reach, the mandrakes have given forth their fragrance. This is, says the Metzudat David, a kind of proof that it's very near and reasonable to suppose that indeed the vine has flowered forth. Because look, the herbs of the mandrakes, this wild flower, the mandrakes have already flowered forth and are already bringing up a good fragrance. And already at our very entrances are all kinds of precious dainties, both new and the old ones from the previous year, that I have purchased them, I have acquired them, and I've treasured them all up to give you. It's as if she is saying, you have seen, I have seen these facing those. I've seen these precious delights, the new ones. They are both new and old. If so, it's very close at hand to suppose, or reasonable to suppose, that the vine has flowered forth. And when we shall go there, we shall find satisfaction, the delight of the spirit, and the expansion of the heart. And there I will show you the strength of my love for you. The Nimshal here is as if the assembly of Israel is saying, is it not the case that even the Amoratzim, the simple people, the uneducated people that are among them, even though they are only outwardly in the form of man, they bear the human form, but that is only their outward form, but they are like wild plants, wild flowers. They are uncultivated. Nevertheless, despite that, even these less educated, less sophisticated souls of Israel, they too have given forth their fragrance through their activity in the performance of the commandments. And if so, therefore, there are in them a multitude of merits, both from what they have done afresh and anew, their latest good deeds, and also those good deeds that they performed long before. And all of them they have done for the sake of the glory of your name, and not in order to take arrogant pride in their virtue. And if so, if this is how the simple people have behaved, how much more will be the merits of those that can be found among the sages and among their students. And then she continues in chapter 8, verse 1, Mitencho ka'achli, who would give you like a brother to me? These two are the words of the beloved. She sends her words to say to her lover, indeed, I desire to kiss you out there in the streets quite publicly. This is her instinctive desire, so longing is she for her lover. But she says, I'm ashamed lest I shall be despised for this apparent lack of proper modesty. If only, who would give that you should be to me like a little brother that is still suckling from the breasts of my mother, where his sister has no shame in kissing her little baby brother out there in the streets. For if that was how you were in relation to me, I would indeed kiss you just as I found you out there in public in the street. And that would be how I would be fulfilling my desire. And then if that were the intimacy of the relationship between us, then there would be nobody that would be despising me. And the Nimshal here is coming to say, who will make it possible that all of the reasons that come to prevent me from perfect service of God were to be removed? For if so, I would then be able to engage in Torah and mitzvot in every place where I go to. So she is indeed appealing to her beloved to be able to give a public manifestation of her love for him, and that indeed would be something most desirable in our time too, where so often the people of Israel feel the need to hide the closeness of their relationship with the Almighty behind closed doors, and today all too often a security barricade around them. But our hope is that we shall be able to go public with our love of God Almighty in the time of the restoration and the redemption. And going on to chapter 8, verse 2, and Hogcho Aviacho, I shall lead you, I shall bring you. I would bring you, she says, to the house of my mother, in order that you should teach me there how I may conciliate you, in order to elicit your favor, and there I will give you to drink from the wine that is mixed with fragrant herbs and flavors, and from the juice that is squeezed out from my pomegranate. The nimshal here is to say that all the more so there would I be investigating to understand, to squeeze out and understand the secrets of the commandments and the very depths of their mysteries. And then I will perform the commandments with the ultimate completeness and wholeness, and with tremendous exacting punctiliousness, in order that my performance of the commandments shall be pleasing to you. So here she is looking forward to the future restoration, where she is giving her lover the love offerings of her sacrifices, her good deeds, and these are the fruits and the dainties she's bringing to him. And now she comes to the ultimate in her delight in their closeness. His right hand is under her head, and his left hand is under her head. His right hand will embrace her. It's as if she's saying, continues Mutzadat David in chapter 8, verse 3, I know that through this picture of my offerings to him, through this he will be attached to me in the way of love. And he will put his left hand under my head and embrace me with his right hand. The nimshal here is coming to say that through this you will cause to dwell your shekhinah, your indwelling presence in me, in a way of exceptional love and affection. Well, the closing verse of this parasha, her adjuration to the daughters of Zion. We will be looking at this in more detail in relation to what the Targum and Rashi have to say on this verse, but following now the interpretation with Sudat David on this verse, Hishbati Eschem, I've caused you to take an oath. The third time she makes the Benos Yerushalayim take such an oath. Now, says Mitzudat David, she turns her face towards those maidens and she says to them, there is a punishment and a sanction for the breaking of the oath that I made you swear already back then. And the punishment will come in the event that you try to stir up the love of my lover for you by trying to make me become vile and despised in his eyes. And all this sanction and threat she's making against them is made up to that time when his love will be turned by itself to come back to me. And just all the time, just as long as the love is not manifestly restored on the outside, as long as the restoration is not complete publicly, it's all this time that I put this threat of the sanction upon you. It's as if she's saying, you, daughters of Jerusalem, you know that after the love will return to me, I will no longer need to make any threats against you, because then you will not be able at all to cause me to become vile and despised and to have his love turned to you through some kind of replacement theology. And here the nimshal is that it is as if she is saying, as if Knesset Yisrael is saying to her lover, God Almighty, She's saying now to the Ovdei Kechovim Mazolos, she's saying to the pagan nations, there will be the great sanction and punishment if you do nullify this oath that I have made you swear, in the event that you will try to force me to transgress his law, the law of the Torah, in order to make me become vile in the eyes of the Almighty, God forbid, to be to then cause Israel to be eternally made over and described to the nations to be under their control. And so here we see that her abjuration is in order to preserve her love for him and his love for her. Well, we shall see that the Targum and the Midrashim take this verse in a rather different way, and that we shall come to with the help of God in our next session. So let us for now take a brief interval, and then we'll come back presently to our studies in Rabbi Nachman's Likutei Moharan. Here we are, my friends, ready to go back now to our studies of Likutei Moharan. Let us turn without further ado now to the text of Likutei Moharan, Chelek Aleph, Torah Lamed Gimel, Part 1, Volume 1 of the 2 volumes contained in the original Hebrew printing, teaching number 33, Mihu Ish HaChofetz Chaim, who is the one that desires life. Shalom, today, the 9th day of the month of Kislev of the year 5778, corresponding to the 27th of November of the year 2017. We continue now with our studies of Likutei Moharan, Torah 33 in the first part, the first Chelek, continuing now from section Vav of the teaching, which takes us up a stage further in the structure that Rabbi Nachman has been building for us, explaining to us how, as we strip off layer after layer of the coverings over of the divinity that underlies the entire creation, so we constantly go from level to level in them, and we are all the time engaged in the ascent to seek for the esoteric hidden light of the Torah. And Rabbi Nachman had presented to us the overall picture of the tremendous da'at, the knowledge of God, that will be filling the world in the time of Melech Mashiach and thereafter. But now he shows us that indeed this is a relative matter, how at every level on which a person may stand, there's always levels beyond that person that are available to them if they will strip off the husks. Continue now with the text from section Vav. Va'afilu b'midos atzmon, even in the revealed world of God's attributes, revealed all around us in the things and the situations of the world. Kol echod lefi bechinosai hu bechinas da'as de bechino shetachteho. Each level of revelation, each attribute of the sfirot that is revealed in the world, each one of these attributes according to its unique nature, according to the particular category. Here this word bechina, which causes so much difficulty to students of Likutei Moharan, it normally can be translated either just by the English word aspect or category, expressing the particular aspect that is being revealed. Each aspect in itself is a level of higher knowledge and consciousness of the divine in relation to the aspect that is below it. For example, the aspect of chesed, which is one aspect of the totality of God's attributes. The attribute of chesed represents a level of da'at, a level of divine knowledge and cognizance that is above and beyond the level of gevurah, of strict justice that emanates forth from chesed, kindness. This teaching of how each aspect represents a higher level of da'at in relation to the one beneath it is implicit in this teaching of our sages, contained in the Midrash. מה שעושסו חוכמו התורו לראשו, עושסו הנובו עוקב לסילוסו. What chokhmah, wisdom, made as a crown for her head, humility has made as the sole of her shoe. That is to say, in the tree of the Sfirot, Keter, the crown, which can only be apprehended through complete humility and self-effacement, Keter, the crown, is above the level of Chokhmah, wisdom. Keter is the first and the highest of the Sfirot. Chokhmah, wisdom, is the second. So what Chokhmah, wisdom, has made the crown to her head, namely the crown being Keter, on the level of Keter itself, this humility is merely the heel of her shoe, because for Keter, the level of Chokhmah is beneath her. For Chokhmah, the level of humility is above her. So here we see this hierarchical relationship between the Sfirot as they emanate one from the other and interrelate one with the other. This saying of our sages is based upon a verse in Proverbs, Ekev Anova Chokhmah, the heel of humility is wisdom. And that on the basis of that verse is where the sages made this statement quoted here from the Midrash. What wisdom has made the crown of her head, so humility has made the heel of her shoe. Out of this comes forth logically that the lowest level of the world of Yetzirah, the third of the four worlds of the Kabbalah, from the top, Atzilut, Beriah, and now third Yetzirah, above the world of Asiyah. The lowest level of Yetzirah, because each world has its own 10 Sfirot, 10 levels, the lowest level is an aspect of Da'at, of greater knowledge and understanding in relation to the world of Asiyah that is beneath it. The four worlds are perceived as a hierarchy. There's four spiritual worlds as a hierarchy, one below the other. And so when a person apprehends the world of Yetzirah, which lies beneath the outer face of the world of Asiyah, the apprehension of the world of Yetzirah represents a higher level of cognizance and knowledge of the divine than even the highest level of apprehension in the world of Asiyah. It comes out from this discussion that there can be a person of whom it may be said that the love that this person has between himself or herself with God Almighty, the blessed God, through the person's attributes and in the course of time, the love that the person experiences through time and through the way they manifest, the attributes are manifested through time, this is a manifestation of the love that is in Da'at, which may be beyond the aspect of time of a person that is on a lesser level. That is to say that different people's levels of apprehension are different. And one person may have a level of apprehension of God that would be considered a manifestation of the higher level of love, the love contained within Da'at itself. There's a higher level that that person has attained over and above a person that has attained a lesser level. In other words, Rabbi Nachman is telling us that all levels of different people in the world are all relative. This is a very fundamental concept in the Chassidut of Rabbi Nachman, that everybody is always on some level. We're always moving from level to level, and there's no stopping. We constantly, even though there are times when we appear to go backwards, but we need to be generally, if we climb up 3, we may slide down 2, but let's not slide down 4. We need to be constantly advancing. And each level that we attain spiritually, and obviously we're not talking about mountain climbing, we're talking about rising levels of apprehension of God in our lives. Each level of knowledge we attain is considered to be an aspect of the knowledge that is the love that is contained in Da'at in relation to the love that is manifested in lower levels. So now Rabbi Nachman comes to explain the saying of our sages. This throws light on what our sages have said in Tractate Moed Katan of the Babylonian Talmud. Commenting on this verse in the prophet Malachi, Malachi says that the lips of the priest will guard knowledge, and Torah shall be sought from his mouth. On this verse in Malachi, the sages commented, Im horav doime lemalach Hashem tzivakos. If the Rav, the teacher, the one that occupies the position of the priest, if he is like an angel of the God of hosts, that is to say, if the righteous teacher has brought under complete control his material instinct, his yetzer, his lower desires, then he is likened to an angel of the Lord of hosts, as written in the Zohar, and we've already discussed this comment of the Zohar on the verse at the end of Psalm 103. The verse in Psalm says, Bless Hashem, O you, his angels, you mighty in strength. The Zohar, as already discussed earlier in our teaching, Rabbi Nachman comments, Ilein inun de miskabrin al yitzroihen. Those being referred to in this verse as angels, they are those who have conquered and overcome their impulses and desires. Because through this, through the person controlling his urges and lusts and desires, that is, as we've already seen earlier, when the letters of the Torah that are contained in all of the creation around us and all the situations around us, then when the person has brought under control his desires, that is when the letters stand forth and are connected one with the other, and the divine teachings and messages come forth from them, because the person being freed of their lower desires is no longer distracted by the outer appearance. And then the person attains the level already discussed earlier of, expressed in the phrase with which Israel received the Torah, we shall do and then we shall hear. In what sense? Because this righteous individual makes and builds the letters of the Torah. This person is worthy of hearing the sound, the voice of the Torah from above. Without doubt, it is from such a teacher that Torah shall be sought from that teacher's mouth. For without doubt, he knows the Torah. Even from material, physical matters, this righteous person is able to collect the letters of the Torah that stand forth before his higher consciousness. And that is why Malachi in his verse says that the lips of the priest shall guard knowledge. Kohen hu bechinas chesed. The Kohen priest is the embodiment of the aspect of chesed, loving kindness. And it is his attainment of this attribute, his lips, yishmeru das, they shall guard knowledge. That is to say, it is through this teacher that the love that is contained in knowledge shall be revealed, that higher level of God's love, that is the love that was implicit in the mind of the Creator, as it were, even before the actual creation of the world, the love the Creator had for the souls of Israel. And this sage who attains this level is able to reveal that love. Now this love that is revealed through the words of such a sage, such a tzaddik, is a level of the love of God revealed to us that is on a higher level than the level of time and space within which we more ordinary people are living. That is to say, the love that he can reveal to us is above our level, because that love that he reveals is beyond time, and this is the day, that one day that is known to God, that day of the future redemption and the complete restoration of Israel. So with that, my friends, we conclude our studies for today, and with the help of God, I shall be back on Thursday at 1600 hours Israel time with the continuation of our studies. And for the moment, I would like to wish you Emshech Yom Tov, a continuing good day, and shalom and blessings from the holy city of Jerusalem. Until this coming Thursday, shalom from Yerushalayim.